Welcome to the Voice of South Pacific. This is a Pacific Islanders broadcast from Seattle, Washington, coming from Manamo'ui Center. Today is May 12, 2022. Ko kore ke hiu whangai pe ngai tau whatap ko tau pe o sana whakiha lau le tau ka whata I polokalama mau inga ko e ahoni. Ko e tau polokalama ni ko ngahi au sia e taha o e tau kawhiwhine me kolo e malata o ko atu ia ko ngā ke mo mea mai ki ai. Panki ata a ia ko mele ko loa he lotu ta mai pe au aho. Pea I kai ngā tai ko e hokataton ko e ai ono tau kolosi ai ki he polokalama pea mo King County. We have all the special project manager that will join us today. So at 6 o'clock, they will be talking and update on the vaccines event. And also how important it is for the elderly to take the 4th dose and the vaccine availability. Ko ia ko whamanata lai pe, tau polokalama he ahoni, ko hoko totonu koe ai ono, tau ka whatahai, mo kau ngawe ko ia I he Seattle King County Public Health, o kai kau taki ai ki nau kau whatamu tau tolu, o ate ngai whahinohina whe kau aki mo ngai hohu malu I, pia moha ngai mea e lawa tokoni ki o tau ka inga I he community. My name is Sylvia Fatima Aho. Thank you so much for joining us. I have Neta Tua Tape Lava. He's our radio tech today. And we'd like to play our first song before we continue on with some of the pictures that we have been captured from the graduation ceremony. But that's one of our Pacific Islanders from Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C. So I'll ask Neta to please play one of our songs here. Then we continue on with the rest of our program. Whamalo atu, malo apito mo ka mai, kore atu, mo ka ta ki o vahe atu ki o mo ngai pesi, pia mo toku share atai ki o mo ngai friend, ko ngai polokalama ko ne utau vahe, ko ngai whahino pia aonga, ke tokoni, ke tau te whito, ke kainga ko ni I he kolo o e malata.
Matangine angi mai lei e saute Wela I e ui ae o tu felenite Ongo mai o hange hango erile O pehe ange mai ko maupe Folau ka pasau nei he hala tau wha Amerika lahi mo ono folaua Ono e a whakalata mai ke te kita Noa maupe si influasia Te ui vehi vape mo fie fia He ala o manongi o e kau mea Tuku ke mo oni a e ki ilea Misi e fuku o mama Kone a whaingata Pasamei he hala tau wha Te uhi mehi wape mofi e fia He alaha o malongi o e kau mea Tuku ke muoni a e ki ilea Misi e fuku o wawa kone a whaingata Misi e fuku o wawa kone a whaingata Misi e fuku o wawa
Yeah, they're calling Neta. Neta, could you please load up, some of the pictures, from the graduation that really shows that we are about to enter into the season that is known. The month of June is the graduation month, but even the month of May too. Some colleges, some universities, and high school, they already started graduation this month. So it's an early graduation. But this is like to inspire our Pacific Islanders because this is Mele Kolohe Lotu Tamwe Peau Aho is not known as the Tongan over there, but is known as a Pacific Islander at the Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C. This, you can see the picture. This is like some of their families, and also Mele was giving a speech. This is Stella Fukafuka. She's also working at the World Bank in Washington, D.C. We don't really have a lot of Pacific Islander over there, but also the Tongan ambassador to the U.S. is also Va'inga Tone. As you can see, this is Mele and her immediate family, the husband, Langi Lolo Aho, and also Anapuli, that's the daughter, and also the girls, and also the
Tonga
sister and the mom
came from Salt Lake
that
City.
was joyful to see the families
This
come
is
together.
the Tongan ambassador from New York. They came to witness, the graduation ceremony. Washington National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. And this is the father right here, Father Lemeki Tamoipeau. That's Kalatisi. And that's Tulu. And that's Langloloa. That's Penieli Tamoipeau. Okay, families and relatives were incomplete. These are the friends out here. Nations capital of the United States.
Nele koloa he lotu tamai pēo ahoni. Me la tanga tuku atu a enea. They come, and it is such a good day because of the graduation day. It's an honor to be a part of it.
hospital there miki me atana. As you can see the pictures right now, this is the president of Wesley Theological Seminary. That's the one that Mele graduated from, and also some of the family pictures, you know. But how important it is, you know, that it's inspiring, you know, our younger generation, also everybody else, you know, to inspire us, you know, for a better future. And this is the Tongan Channel Consulate, Whakakahoa, putting the lace around by Kalatisi Hola Tamuepeao. And this is the Tongan Ambassador in USA, and also the Madame, the wife is Luisa Tone. Please, everybody, if you're in, you know, please share our program today, because at 6 o'clock we will have everybody from the Seattle King County Public Health to join us, and these are the project manager to update everything. Reception of Melita Mepewa. This is our Tongan ambassador. This
The
is
Kingdom
Mela
of Tonga's
and our wife.
permanent representative to the United Nations.
These are
His
staff
office
from
is
Wesley
in New
College,
York,
Professor.
And he has come all the way to be with us. It's an honor.
Friends
to
of
have
Mela
your
and around
presence
here.
Your Excellency.
Lots of friends from Wesley
Madame
College.
Louisa, his wife, and two of his sons. We have Soane and Maina Jr. with us. We acknowledge also the presence of Mela's mentor, professors, lecturers, and colleagues, friends who are with us. Thank you so much for taking the time to celebrate with us. As Mela reminded us, it's a time of celebration of Thanksgiving for how the Lord has been faithful to her and her family, like Noloa and Anapuli. We thank God that He has enabled Dad,
This is Anapuli, the daughter of Mela Aho.
younger brother and younger sister, Penieli and Kalapisi are here, Leili and Hamani are here too with the daughters. Thank you all so much for being here. We pray for a wonderful time. Please feel free to ask any of us for anything you might need. But we're looking forward for this evening of praise, evening of thanksgiving and fellowship. Much thanks to Mele and Lanoloa. And of course, we celebrate and welcome. A round of applause, please, for our graduates.
I think that if you notice, you know, the people that were at the graduation ceremony, everybody required to wear the mask. The COVID restriction is still very much higher. Now, in order for you to go to the National Cathedral, that's where the graduation ceremony, the commencement of 2022, everybody required to wear masks in order to enter. And that really shows that it's our nation's capital, and that's very much needed, you know, for the safety measure to be in the nation's capital. They keep announcing, you know, everybody must wear masks. If not, you cannot enter. And then when we just coming over to the other, the second part, everybody was still wearing masks, especially the professors, teachers, but that would just like people take off their masks because they were ready to eat the dinner.
Here, and I'm grateful to be given the opportunity to lead us in prayer. I was reflecting on, I feel like Epworth, which is the church that I currently serve, has just a teeny tiny piece of Mele, that many of you have spent time with her over much more. But one of the marks, I think, of someone who has a deep movement of the Spirit of God in them is the warmth with which they build relationships. And even in the midst of COVID over Zoom, Mele has endeared herself to the Epworth community in just a short period of time. And so I am deeply grateful for her and for the opportunity to be here. So let us pray. God, we are grateful for who you are. We're grateful that your Spirit moved across dark waters and brought forth life. We're grateful, God, that you have moved in the life of Mele, have brought her this far by faith, God, and have so much more before her. We're grateful, God, for the depth of wisdom, of grace, of tenderness, of intellect, of strength, and of vision that you have placed within her. We're grateful, God, for the way that we can see the movement of your Spirit and the uniqueness of each one of us, God. This day, we give you extraordinary thanks. We give you thanks, God, that you have brought her to this place. We give you thanks for the community that has walked with her. We give thanks, God, for her family. We thank you, God, that because we are gathered here today, we can see the evidence of newness unfolding and the depth of foundation upon which she stands. God, pour out your Spirit that this graduation, this master's in divinity, would just be a piece, Lord, of a large puzzle you put together. I thank you for every life you will touch through her. I thank you for every piece of wisdom and clarity you will show through her eyes. I thank you for every institution and need for change that will be confronted by her strength. I thank you, God, that we are a part of this journey. I ask, God, that you would bless this time that we spend together eating, that you would bless those who have prepared this food and picked this food. I ask, God, that your Spirit would be here, that in the breaking of bread together, we would not only celebrate Mele, but celebrate your faithfulness. We honor you, we worship you, and we give you thanks. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, we finish our opening prayer. The MC is Sela Fuka Tuyono. And
they will be serving us the food. Enjoy your dinner.
Sela Fuka Tuyono. She lives here in Washington, D.C. And it's a great. These are all the friends and Mela's friends. This is Mela. This is a graduation girl, Mele Koloa Hello to Tamai Piao Aho. And these are professors at Wesley College and pastors, and also our Tongan ambassador to the U.S. It's Vaina Tone, and also the wife, Madame, is Luisa Tone. We're so grateful that they took their time to come all the way from New York to be a part of us.
Trips because they couldn't fit everything in one
car. This is the Tongan ambassador and his wife. These are all friends and schoolmates of Mele and friends. This is our Tongan family. Father Lemeki, Tata Igi ko Lemeki. Hispanite ko lang lolo. Baby Tamay Piao. Tulo. Dahil na may tanga ko Mele. And the waffle. Pehe koe family na na si polau mai me California. Koe tahine whahingoa ke kolo koe ni. This one here names after the capital, the nation capital, DC. Yeah, DC. Yeah. Yeah. And Penieli is like named after the company that make the pen. Yeah. Fai kataga Penieli to ton ke peye live stream ka le tio tai mine. Ka ko fa le vai ni ko stai ni ko tonga halariku ko ni sia o mai ko kakato ya family. Ko tamai uspaniti ko fa ko tokoa ko tonga ane ka umano fanga first cousin ko ni tapi ke na kita hine ko anapuli, she's right there, so the whole family, and these are the two sons of the Tongan ambassador to the USA, and look at so many friends of Mele and also the friends of Anapuli. Hello. And hello, everybody. You can always introduce yourself and what's your...
I'm Mele's friend, and we also take classes, and we work here at Wesley together. She's my sister. I love her.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, yes, hi. My name is Mary. Yes, I know Patty the first year when she was married, and then soon we become good friends, and we work together. She is really the founder for our APIA organization.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
Very closely. We work every event. Yeah, so I treat her like my mentor, friend.
That's wonderful. So first of all, my name is Sylvia Aho, known as Fatima, but I also work with our communities and Pacific Islanders. And I used to work with Laura Pritchard in Seattle, in Tacoma, Washington State. She's the one that runs the Asian Pacific Cultural Center. Yeah, and I have a lot of the, familiar faces and things like that. So what are you doing with the APIA?
I'm in the local in here. I live here over 30 years now. So all these local Asian organizations or churches, I'm very
Wonderful. I came over to the dancing that was back in 2015, the second term of President Obama. Yeah, it was right here in Washington, D.C. And I got an invitation for that. Yeah, it was really nice, Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, these are the sons of our Tongan U.S. ambassador. What's your name? Vainga? Vainga Jr.? Okay, this is the hands of Mainga Jr. and he's still available. If you need to apply, you can come through me. Go through via Fatima to go to the other side. Okay, and your name? Pita? Pita Soane? Are you the younger brother or the older brother? Oh, ko Pita Soane, ko pehea ko ki tamsi o ke si, ka ko ia ko kulahi ia Vainga ia junior, eh? Okay. Thank you. Where are your two wives? You lost them? I can go find another one. A golden wife. Yeah, but it has to be from Seattle. Yeah. Okay, we love the atmosphere in here. This is our nation capital and we love it. And you?
Seeing everybody having a great time, and this is the father of the graduation candidate, Melekolo Helota Mwebeao Aho. This is Father Lemeki Tamwebeao. He made it all the way from Seattle, Washington, all the way to the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. It was so nice, it's a blessing that the mom passed a few weeks ago, but at least, the father made it, all the way.
Thank you.
And Melly said, it was a great blessing. That's the MC for the day. It's also like very cautious, she always wear the mask, but because we're having dinner right now, and that's Stella Fukafuka,
John Clark.
and she's the boss at the Well Bank. That's Brother Benieli and also
Friends, ladies and gentlemen.
Sister
Oh, let me just join others in-
Galatista Mwepiao. Oh, here you can see the Tongan
Very
ambassador.
great achievement that
It's
she has
Ingatone.
shown to
You
us,
make it louder
and we have witnessed in
so we
the
can
commencement that took place earlier today. So I have been very honored to be present along with my wife and some members of my family. So I just want to say that I'm very happy to be invited to join Mele's dear family
Wesley
in celebrating
Theological
this
Seminary.
very great achievement. As I listened to the sermon today and the various speeches, I was very honored to hear the President.
Okay, well, it's about 2 minutes after 6 right now. We have to switch over, to the Seattle King County Public Health. They have a lot of great information to share with our Pacific Islanders community. Hello, Sili Kalepo. Can you play the little Pacific medley to welcome our two special guests of the day, Karen Goldenberg and also Ashley Robinson. Please, everybody, share the program. We have the new program manager that will update us, and give us the information, about the vaccine outreach. And shortly, in about a minute, we will start with them.
Please on the track.
Sick with it. Let's go.
Okay. Well, we are so fortunate to have our program managers with Seattle King County Public Health, and they do coordinate with the COVID vaccine. I know there's a lot of questions from our Pacific Islanders about the vaccine, but we will have the opportunity to welcome Karen Goldenberg and also Ashley Robinson. They're both program managers with the Seattle King County Public Health. Welcome, Ashley, and also Karen. Thank you so much for joining our program today with the Pacific Islanders broadcast. I know you do the vaccine outreach and also you coordinate other projects, with the Seattle King County Public Health. I'll let you, whoever wants to come first, you can go ahead. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you so much for welcoming us.
Yes.
I'll just introduce us, and then we're going to talk about a few things. First, Ashley's going to talk about what the current guidelines are. We are focused on people who are over 50 years old. We can answer questions about younger groups, but our job is really focused on seniors and elders in our community, and also younger people who might have a disability. So we'll talk about what is recommended for folks who are over 50. And then we'll talk about what it currently looks like right now in King County for Pacific Islanders in this age group. And then I'll talk a little bit about what our program does, how we try to get vaccine out in the community to people who need it. And then we will also have some time, because I really want to hear from anybody who has an idea about how we might be able to do this better. Okay, so Ashley, you want to go ahead?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are with COVID right now in King County, just a very brief overview to put things in a little bit of context. And then I'll talk about eligibility for vaccinations and then vaccination rates among seniors. Over the past couple weeks, COVID cases have been increasing in King County. Cases are actually quite high right now. Over the past 7 days, there have been about 200 cases per 100,000 residents. And this is higher than the Delta variant surge, but below the Omicron surge this past winter. So this is an increase of about 10%. Since last week. So we're seeing rising cases. The rate of COVID cases among Pacific Islanders specifically is currently the highest among all racial and ethnic groups throughout King County. So whereas overall we're looking at 200 cases per 100,000 residents, among Pacific Islanders, it's 460 cases per 100,000 Pacific Islander residents over the past 7 days and increasing. So very, very high right now. Overall, we are now in CDC's medium level category, which is that yellow category, which means a little bit of a warning. The CDC says might want to consider wearing a mask in indoor public places, and of course continue to get tested if you have symptoms. But the good thing is that hospitalizations and deaths are currently still very low. But we still need to protect, our family members and our neighbors who are at most high risk from COVID. The people that are the most high risk from COVID-19 are residents who are older, have a disability, are immunocompromised, have underlying medical conditions, and people who are living in nursing homes or some other type of long-term care facilities. To give you a little bit of sense of how vulnerable seniors are, in King County, people age 60 and older represent approximately 85% of the COVID deaths since the pandemic started. And this is a very disproportionate number because the people age 60 and older in King County only make up 18% of residents. So 18% of residents comprising 85% of COVID deaths. So very, very vulnerable to severe COVID and hospitalization. The best way to reduce your own risk for COVID, help to protect family members, help to protect community members who are vulnerable, of course, stay up to date on your vaccinations. In the past 30 days, people who, to give you a sense of how vaccinations help and how booster doses help, in the past 30 days, people who are not fully vaccinated are 6 times more likely to be hospitalized from COVID than people who received a booster dose. People who are not fully vaccinated are 11 times more likely to die from COVID than people who have received a booster dose. So much more likely to be hospitalized, much more likely to have very severe disease. You're less likely to test positive for COVID, and you're less likely to have, you're more likely to have more mild symptoms if you are up to date on your vaccinations. So what does it mean to be up to date on your vaccinations, right? What vaccinations should you have right now? What does that look like, especially for seniors and people over 50 years old? First, of course, anyone who's eligible for a primary series, so anyone 5 and older, anyone who hasn't completed their first 2 doses yet, their primary series yet, should definitely do that. That's a great step into protecting yourself, protecting your loved ones. And anyone who's immunocompromised should get an additional dose about 28 days after their second shot. So anyone who's immunocompromised can get an additional primary dose there. Because immunity from vaccinations wanes over time, just like for any vaccination, immunity wanes. So, you get a flu shot annually because it doesn't protect you forever. So because immunity wanes from the COVID vaccines, it's important to get a booster dose after those first 2 primary doses. You're eligible for a booster dose 5 months after your second dose. No vaccination lasts forever. So anyone who got vaccinated a long time ago, when the vaccinations first came out, maybe a year ago or more, definitely it's really important to get those booster doses now. At the end of March, the CDC approved a second booster dose. So this second booster dose helps to increase immunity for people at most risk of COVID. You're eligible for a second booster dose if you are 50 and older and received your first booster dose 4 months ago. So it has to be at least 4 months. Anyone 12 and older who is moderately or severely immunocompromised is also eligible after that 4-month time period. So for second booster doses, anyone 50 and older or anyone 12 and older who's immunocompromised is eligible. The CDC states that it may be helpful to get that second booster dose now as opposed to waiting. If you are immunocompromised, you're more likely to get very sick from COVID. If you are more likely to be maybe exposed from a job or exposed where you live. So for example, as a senior, maybe you live in a congregate care setting, adult family home, maybe you have a loved one who's in a nursing home. There's a lot of exposure there, staff taking care of you and also, living with a lot of other people. The CDC says that you might want to consider getting that second booster dose if you live in an area with a medium to high COVID community level right now, which King County is currently in. We're currently in that medium level. Or if you live with someone who is unvaccinated. It's also important. So those are some of the things you might want to consider when thinking about getting that second booster dose. So what do vaccinations look like among seniors and specifically Pacific Islanders 65 and older in King County right now? Among all seniors 65 and older in King County, more than 95% have received their first 2 primary doses. And that number drops to 88% who have received their booster dose. Among Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders, age 65 and older, Pacific Islanders have kept pace with and surpassed the vaccination rates among all, overall among seniors in King County. So Pacific Islanders has some of the highest vaccination rates in King County right now. Pacific Islanders 65 and older, more than 95% have received their first 2 primary doses, and more than 95% again have received their booster dose, higher than the percentage for all seniors in King County. So that is absolutely something to be celebrated. That is wonderful. But in looking at those second booster doses for anyone who is 50 and older and wants to reduce their risk of getting COVID right now and having severe COVID right now, for those second booster doses, among Pacific Islanders who are eligible to receive one, only 20% have done so. And that's compared to roughly just under 30% overall for King County among those who are eligible for it. The percentage of eligible Pacific Islanders that have received a second booster dose is lower than every other race and ethnicity in King County. So, it was approved in late March. Still getting those doses out there. There is absolutely still, should go get it, if you can, if you want to reduce your risk. And it's important to do so. You can protect, yourself, protect your loved ones, protect, maybe a senior that you are caring for. So to summarize a bit, COVID cases are fairly high in King County right now. Immunity from vaccines wanes over time, but thankfully, the CDC has recently authorized that second booster dose for those who are most at risk, and that is available. And I'm going to pass it off to Karen to talk a little bit about our work in making sure that seniors have access to, not only that second booster dose, but all the COVID vaccinations, and also about our in-home vaccination program and how to access that as well.
Hey, Ashley, real quick, is there a link to some of that Pacific Islander data that you were referring to so I can post it on their Facebook page?
It comes from the King County
dashboard?
COVID dashboard. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, I can. Do you want me to just post the
You can put it on the chat.
Dashboard?
Yeah, I'll just copy it over.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. And then just so everybody understands a little bit about how we have approached working with seniors in general in King County since the pandemic started. We have focused a lot on people who live in what Ashley called the congregate care. So we mean people who live in a setting with lots of other people. Usually for seniors, we're talking about nursing homes. Sometimes those are called assisted living when it's a little bit less intense nursing and people are living maybe in their own apartment, but they have some help coming in. And then also adult family homes. A lot of people in King County live in adult family homes. Those are usually regular houses. It might be in your neighborhood. They might have 5 or 6 seniors who live there, and it's usually a family who owns that home and provides care for the people who live there. Anybody who works in this kind of setting and requests help from us, if they say, hey, all the people who live here really need to get access to this dose. We've done it all along. So first we did the first round, and as new rounds are approved, we go out and do this, and we do it through teams of medical professionals that we contract with. So they're not people who typically work for King County. These are doctors and nurses work out in the community, and we have contracts with them so that when we know somebody needs a dose, we can send the team out. They go right out. It usually happens within a few days. So if somebody is aware of a family member who lives in a home, in a setting like this, in a nursing home or in an adult family home, and they have not gotten a vaccine, that's something they can call and tell us about. And we will contact the home and see what we can do to get vaccine doses in for them. So that's our first area of focus, is these long-term care facilities where people might be living. Then there's a kind of bigger body of work where we are trying to make contact with people who manage housing sites, buildings where there might be lots of seniors, either because it's only for seniors or just sometimes sometimes a building just happens to have lots of people who are older who live there. If somebody wants us to come in to offer vaccine doses in a building like that, we're happy to send a team out. Senior centers have been a really important partner. lots of folks go to senior centers. Maybe, maybe they're used to going there to get maybe the lunch program, or it's they go play bingo or whatever they play. Those are really important for a lot of seniors. So that's a really great place for us to offer vaccine doses. They're already used to going there. People know how to get there. We'll go in and offer. And depending on the day, it might be 10 people who come in to get their vaccine. It might be 100. Just totally depends. Then the last program I want to make sure I talk about is very important. It's a program that we have where we can actually send a team out to do in-home vaccines for people who are homebound. And when I say homebound, I mean people for whom it would be really hard to get out of their home safely. So this might be somebody who is in a wheelchair and there's stairs in the home, or somebody who actually doesn't leave their bed very often, somebody who has been going through cancer treatment and it's really not safe for them to leave home. Anything like that. It could also be somebody who has a mental illness that makes it hard for them to leave home. Really, somebody who's got a developmental disability like autism or something like that, that would make it difficult for their family to get them out to a place where we are offering vaccines to the public. All of those are perfectly good reasons, and we want to offer vaccines in home for anybody that it would be really helpful for. We don't require any kind of medical verification of this. You don't need a doctor's letter, nothing like that. All you have to do is call. We have a public information call center. So when somebody calls, these phones are answered by nurses. It's a great resource in general. They can answer really any kind of question you might have about COVID or about finding a vaccine. And they can certainly help people who want to get set up to get the vaccine in their home. They can put in a referral. It comes to me and Ashley, and we send it out to this mobile teams that we work with. So it's usually pretty quick. Usually within, say, about a week, you get a contact from somebody who could actually make an appointment. Ashley just put the phone number up. I'll just say it out loud, but it's 206-477-3977. And if you live anywhere in King County, you can call that number. And so those are the main outlets that we've had go for a long time now. We really want to make sure that we're doing our best to reach smaller groups of people who might have not heard that boosters are available, might not quite understand why do we need to get another shot, really anything like that. We want to make sure that we're doing a good job of getting messages out in a way that people can hear them and understand them, and that we're offering vaccine in places that are convenient for people who need them. I know that Pacific Islanders in general, it is real common for people to have families where lots of people, different generations, are living in the same home, right? Like maybe I live with my grandma or my great grandma, and also my child lives with us. Anybody who lives in a setting like that, those are fantastic times for the whole family to think about getting vaccinated. Everybody who gets vaccinated protects the people who are vulnerable, and that might be the baby who can't get their vaccine yet, and also the older members of the family who are at most risk if they do get sick. So anybody who's got family setting like that, if there's people in the home who can't leave and you want us to send a team out, we can do that. When a team goes out to a home, they can bring vaccines, not just for the person who can't leave, but for anybody who's there. So grandma can't leave and she needs to get her vaccine, and I'm going to be there at the same time because, it's my afternoon to take care of her. Great. I can get my vaccine at the same time. Or it doesn't even have to be a family member. If there's somebody else who comes in to help, fine. Really, we are happy to, if you have an arm, we will put a shot in it. We're happy to get shots out for anybody who needs them. That was pretty much all I wanted to say about how we work. But now I just really like to have a little bit of time to ask questions, if that's okay. If people might have ideas. The main things that we're looking for information about is, do people know about second boosters? Is this a message that we just maybe haven't gotten out well enough? Because I think, the information that Ashley was talking about really shows us that Pacific Islanders in general in King County have done an amazing job of getting vaccinated up until this second booster. So we're thinking we must have not done a good job of getting this message out. Maybe people are just overwhelmed or tired of getting vaccine, which I know I just got my booster and I wish I didn't have to get any more, but I'm going to keep up with it. And then also we want to ask about, do you have ideas for places where we should be offering vaccine that would be more convenient than places that we've done in the past? I'm going to stop talking for a minute there and just open up. Celia, what do you think?
Yeah, so just to clarify there, Karen, so if folks wanted to access your service of that mobile vaccination, it's that COVID call center?
That's right.
Okay. I'm just relaying some of the information on the Facebook Live page.
Yep, and they're open all day into the evening and even on the weekend. So people can call.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Karen, and also Ashley. These are great information. Thank you for all the success, of our King County vaccination program and the resources that you have just shared. And we're so grateful, for all the sacrifices and then vaccine information and encouragement that you have dedicated, to share with our Pacific Islanders community. I just wanted to take a little moment here to ask you, I have this person here that is also working with a lot of the community. She was asking, about the elderly. She was listening and she's saying, if the elderly already take their third dose, do you think is it still necessary to move on to the fourth dose, or it all depends how a person feel? If they feel healthy and well, is it okay for them to just finish up with the third dose, or is it very, very safety and required, for them, for the elderly folks to take the fourth dose?
Thank you so much for the question. And I will say that I do think it's very important for people who are eligible to take that fourth dose. And the reason is, just like we needed a third dose because after 5 months, the first 2 doses that we got probably aren't having the effect that they used to have. Our bodies just, after a while, it's not enough anymore. And that's the same thing that's happening now. So people are eligible for this fourth dose, the second booster, 4 months after they got their last one. So 4 months is about the time it takes for that immunity that you're building up from the dose to leave your body. So we want to make sure that everybody who needs it, and we think the people who need it the most are people over 50, who have a problem where they're immune compromised, which means that their immune system isn't working as well as it should. Anybody like that really could benefit from getting the second booster, the fourth dose. And that will provide them another several months worth of improved immunity, and they are much, much less likely to need to be in the hospital if they do get sick. That's what we always want to remind people, that even if you do get sick, you're still much more likely to have a very mild sickness. Maybe you just need to stay home for a few days, versus without getting the booster, you're much more likely to get sick and then be in the hospital and be very sick. And that's really what we want to avoid.
Thank you so much. I think that is very, very clear, for the people, because I just have another person that just called saying, the husband is 82 years old and was asking about the fourth dose. But I'm glad you mentioned that and they heard you. Those are great information that you make it very clear, for them. Well, right now we're at 6:30. We'll just take like 1 minute, to pause to do melodious songs all the way from the South Seas. But for those of you that are inside, please keep sharing this. Pula Vinaka, that means hello in Fijian. Talofa Lava in Samoa mean hello. And hello in our Tongan language, Maloi Lele. And in Marshallese, Lokwi Yok. So, Lokwi Yok in the Marshallese. So, for those of you that are listening, please share that, with your friends, families, and also your community, because we're very happy and very blessed, to have these two program managers, taking their time, giving us this great information, and inspire others, how important it is, and especially the vaccine information for the elderly. Thank you. Okay, I'll ask. Continue on, sharing information about vaccines, information for the elderly in the King County. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll hop in because my colleagues are going to leave, but I just wanted to have them give any final words. And then afterwards, I'll just do a most recent communications update. So I'll give Ashley and Karen a final word and continue to update folks on the mobile vaccination phone number and how they can get a hold of you guys.
Great. Just want to say thank you again for having us. We are really interested in any information, any ideas that people have. So Celia is a great connector, but we're also available directly. And you can always call that COVID call center. I'll say the number again, 206-477-3977 if you have somebody in your home who needs to have a vaccine or you have just questions about how to get them out in the community. That's a good place to call.
206.
Ashley, did you have any final words?
Thank you so much for having us on. It is so important to be able to talk directly to, to community members, get the word out. And, if you have any questions about, vaccinations, whether it's boosters or anything about COVID, please feel free to call that number. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen
Yeah.
Goldenberg and Ursula Robinson. As you can hear the phone number, anytime that you have any question, lava peke mo tahanga tonu ke wana ono, fa fitu fitu, tolu hiba fitu fitu. Wana ono, fa fitu fitu, tolu hiba fitu fitu. They go 206-477-3977 to get more leading information about the vaccine. Thank you so much, Karen, and also Ashley. Thank you so much for taking the time. We greatly appreciated all the great information that you have shared.
Thank you.
Sylvia.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
thank you.
And then I'm just going to go over just some kind of the COVID vaccination rates, the testing, and then I think I mentioned in the last show last Thursday about the test to cure, I think it is, what those antiviral vaccines are available. But I just need some share permissions for Zoom so I can share my screen. Okay, sweet. Let me see here. Share. Screen 2. Presentation mode. All right. This was a presentation used by the Partners Call, so thank you to my team member, Becky Reitis, for putting this together, but she allows us to share this with our own community. So these are just some of the outcome based by vaccination status, and I think this is important for us as a Pacific Islander community. As Antia Sylvia mentioned, some folks don't want to get that second booster shot, but looking at some of the evidence of, are the vaccines effective, and then what do we mean by that when we say that? And the vaccines are really good at protecting people from getting seriously sick from COVID, being hospitalized from COVID, and then dying from COVID. So that's just, again, kind of the message that we're pushing out here at King County Public Health, and that we hope that our audience is able to take advantage of that. And again, these are just, again, some case outcomes by the vaccination status that I've mentioned. As we continue to reiterate, I will put and drop some of these links on the Facebook Live chat so folks can, on their own time, browse the website and read some of the stories and some of the data from our communicable disease crew and our CDFP crew. But just to reiterate and mention, in the past 30 days, people who were not fully vaccinated were, 1.1 times more likely to test positive for COVID. And then the hospitalization rate was 6 times more likely to be hospitalized because of COVID. And again, these are the folks who were not boosted and did not get their primary series. And then the death rates were about 11 times more likely. So again, that's what we're really trying to push here at King County, is to continue to get this vaccine while it's free. I know a lot of the federal funding is going to start to dissipate around June. So, get it while the government's giving it out for free. Some other things I wanted to reiterate about, the testing sites, but before I went there, I didn't know if, Sylvia, if you wanted to translate any of that or if you would like me to keep going.
Yes, hangi kona ko one tupu mai, ko ngai fitu ena ko fai ga testing sites kona wai ki tau hokat kiai, ka ko mahu inga foki ke tau ngawe aki ngai hu malu I, he ko nau osi fai e nau tesi ko osi fai nau sivi, pea ko nau osi ilo ai mo oni ko ia ke ngawe aki ngai hu malu I he fu lahi apito ai ngai maha ki pipihi, ka ko whakaloto lahi ia ke mo ngawe aki ai huhu kainga owa e loto sii ko e mahu inga e te ngawe aki mo te talangofua e koe lau pe prevent is better than cure. Ka harewa ha toki whakaise isa ko hoko mai ham whai ngata ko tai mi pe ni ki te ngawe aki ai. Malo. Okay, go ahead, Silly. Thank you.
Thank you. And so just some coming changes to the King County testing sites. So if case rates have fallen, and the availability of rapid self at home test kits, they are actually going to start decreasing and removing some of these sites because the federal funding for the sites have decreased, and there's a lower demand for the testing sites. And again, as I mentioned, the increased availability at the self rapid antigen home testings are being available. Folks aren't going to these testing sites as much as they were when the home kits weren't available. So the two sites to mention is the last day King County will operate of the Federal Way and the Tequila testing site will be Friday, May 27th. And then the last day that they're going to do the Auburn testing site will be June 1st. And that's important for our communities because we find that a lot of them are in that kind of that South King County range. So for you folks who live out in the Federal Way, Tukwila, and Auburn areas, those testing sites will be discontinued in a couple of weeks, actually, in a couple of weeks. But there are still availabilities for at-home antigen test kits. So Netta, who is one of our community navigators, has access to those, and even Voices of the South Pacific can order a bunch and pass it out to the community at any future community events that I know that Auntie Sylvia personally attends. That's just more information on why they are discontinuing some of those sites. And then here's just a free way of how to access these at-home testing sites. So the Department of Health has some information on it, and then the federal government. So that's the Department of Health of Washington, DOH, and then the federal government has access to as well. So I will drop these links on the Facebook page after I do my presentation, but I will allow Sylvia to translate some of that.
Koia koe hangai peka mahu inga koe na tāno ki ke huhu o lava whoki ke nā toi alat ki o api o whahako pehu ka pau ke lava e kautore ke reka. Yeah, Silly, they can be able to get access and go to their home, do the home visit, you know, like for a vaccine if the elderly are not able to get out of the house then?
Yeah, they can just order it, and then Department of Health of Washington, the federal government has a program that they'll just mail it out to you.
Koia, koe na pu mahina rewa, o kai polo kalama e federal government, pure anga whakatoa, ki nau alat ki api, o whahako ai huhu malui, o ka pau koe ke lava anga, ki ha location pe koha wheitu o whai anga huhu, lava le rei pe ke whai pe api. Thank you.
All right, so moving right along, immunocompromised. You may be eligible for this medication to help you protect from COVID illness. So this is what I had talked about last time. So there is a medicine out when taken before infection or exposure, helps your body fight the coronavirus, avoiding getting really sick and needing to go to the hospital. And this is medication is only available for people who have moderate to severe compromised immune systems. Again, there's a link on the bottom that I will post on the Facebook Live page for the listeners to reference after this presentation. So what is it? It's a preventative treatment used before someone gets COVID-19.
Yes.
It's given in 2 injections into the muscle during the same visit. This is not a treatment for COVID-19. It's used to combine 2 long-active antibodies. And then a follow-up dose may be needed every 3 months based upon your health situation. So how does it work? So first and foremost, this is not a replacement for the vaccine. This is just another option for those folks who are immune compromised and have a lot of those comorbidities that we had talked about. So this vaccine prepares your immune system to respond quickly if you are exposed to COVID-19. It boosts your immune system by helping you prevent or lessen the severity of COVID infections. It blinds the virus and prevents COVID from entering human cells and multiplies in the body. So recent studies have indicated that it reduces your risk of becoming severely ill, hospitalized, or even dying from COVID. That was a lot, so yeah, go ahead and translate that one.
Ia, koe nā o ko tuka te pe mai nau whenga whoki o sayang e pe ho malu I. It's better to prevent than cure. O sayang ho o toki ho tālango ki mama o tā rewa tonga. Ki ngawe a ke hu malu I, ha o tāri ke toki whokoutua pe aha mea hoko ka koe, pa ke toki tuu atu koe alu koe whenga ke hu malu. Koe taimi ko whenga maari e atuai, ngawe a ke ngai whenga maari e. Pe ko telefoni pe ki he wana ono, whawhitu whitu, tolu hiwa whitu whitu. Hanga pe ko tuku ho telefoni ko e wana ono, whawhitu whitu, tolu hiwa whitu whitu. Ko I ngā ke ngāwe aki ai hu malu I e taimu pe whi mawai, ko ni os whaata mai e whoftos, ko I ngā rewa parapau te iai pe hao ngai whihu I ki ngai ta whaakeke, o hulawa pe ke nao o atu ai tarika te koe pa muna tokoni atu, whatatau ki ho o whi mau. Ko tau mo ai a polo kalamani ke o atu whoki ngai whakamari tau te whito ke koutou reke reka, ta ono ngā fulu whai ki olunga. Pea, kua pea tau ni mga fulu ka pau pe hulu, kwa I ke lava to e fu au takai holo, ko I mea mahu I ngā. Ko I ngāwe ake ngai hu malu I, pea ka pau ki aha o whehu I, whekau atu moia, o lava pe ki ke ngāwe ake. Malo. Thank you.
So last point on this issue, and again, this is if you're immunocompromised, you may be eligible for this medication. So am I eligible? So you have to be at least 12 years older and weigh more than 88 pounds. If you have an weakened immune system because of a medical condition or you're taking medications that affect your immune system, or you're unable to receive the complete COVID-19 vaccine series because of severe reactions to prevent COVID-19 vaccinations or components of the vaccine. And you currently don't have COVID, and you have not been in close contact with someone who has been exposed to COVID in the last 10 days. So that's just the last point I want to make about that medicine that's available.
Koia koe, hange koe puhu kona whai kai tala noa, ka mata ia he tau tahaua koe o whai aki o lunga. Pea ka pau lewa o ku paune valval, ka pau ke ki tau si pea. Pea katoa ngahi whahinohino koe ni, koe na mo maa pe telefoni kona na tuku atu, koe wana ono whawhitwhitu tolu hiwa whitwhitu. Ke mo whitu utaki rewa ki ai ko I ngā he ku whia maa upe ia pa mo hono whamanatu atu mo ngāwe ake ngai hu malu I ko e tokoni pe ki he whakaehi ehi me ngai mahaki ko ia o pipihi I he ātakai. O lahi whoki a he whanau o ku pehe whokulahi e wesia ki nau tolu I he ngai apiako o ku nau toi puke pe maa nau tolu e whofonu mo tare tare. Pea koi ai na whakalotolahi me pe ke ngāwe ake ngai hu koini. Pea mo ngai pe a koe taha o nau whamanatu mai ke mo whamore ke mo talangofua ke ngai tūtu ni. Pea mo mui ki ai, pea ka paurewa o te iahi ha mo ngai whehui. Pea mo eke hanga tonu pe ki ho mo ngai toke tā. Ki nau tō te nau ake pe ai ngai whahino hino o mo o ni mo totonu ke tataki aki mo tonu. Thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead, Silly.
Yeah, thank you. And again, I just want to reiterate and thank my colleague Becky Wrightis for preparing all these slides for the community at large. The last thing I want to talk about is on May 26th, which is the last Thursday of this month, we are going to have another Q&A session, Pacific Islander Community Conversation with our 3 Pacific Islander experts. So for those of you who were able to tune in through the Voice of South Pacific last time, we live streamed it on here and we will live stream it again at the end of the month. But we'll have Scarlett Ekramona with Elevate Healing. We'll have Pastor Ofalangi again with Auburn City Church 7A Adventist, and we'll have Dr. Malik Fuimayono, the chief hospitalist at Skagit Valley Hospital. So, we want to continue to ask those community questions. What are some of the hesitations from getting the boosters? Because our big topic is COVID-19 and the boosters, mental health, things that the community is facing, and then the Bible and the vaccines, right? What does Jesus say about getting the vaccine? And then we really want to try to dispel any myths or community concerns that the community has. Because if the community is having concerns, it's obviously valid. So there's no such thing as a bad question. So I just encourage folks to email Veronica Liu or get a hold of Auntie Sylvia Aho or Netta and provide us with those questions, because we still had a few unanswered questions in the last webinar that we had, but we're excited about this next one. And, we're going to try to do these type of an events every 2 months. It might not be COVID focused. So I know there's a lot of other Islander leaders who work for nonprofits and NGOs out there doing amazing work. That might be our next topic. But this one at the end of the month really is just continuing that community conversation about, COVID-19 boosters, mental health, the Bible and the vaccine, and dispelling any community myths.
Thank you so much, Silly. Hange ko yana ne tukwange mai. Whamanata te pēni hange ko tau kainga tonga. Te teo ha mo ngai whehui. May 26. Ahawao na ko ya me. I he taimi ta tau pe I he whiawhi. On the last Thursday of the month. We wanted to encourage everybody. Bring all your questions. There's no such thing. It's called a wrong question. Just bring in your question. We have great leaders. We have Pastor Ofalangi, and also we have other Pacific Islanders leaders. Ke tari ho mo ngai wheui. Ka pau ki aha mo whehui. Pea ke teu ke ahua no whekau aki mo huhu pe ko he hapea o whenga whehui. Whakominti ke o mai te mautatalele. Wike whakaosi ai ko wike ki tu aia. Pea o mai le vaia I he ahua ano ko ia o me. Pea o kai mo kau toke tātonga te nau kau mai pe I he ata. Ke nau whanonga mai pe koe mo nau ngahi. Whamatala mo nau ngahi whehui. We also invite some Tongan doctors, to also participate and answer some of the questions. They are very supportive with our vaccine information. Ko ia pe ko whamanata pe me ahua ono I he taimi ni mai whiawhi, te tau polokala mai mo King County Public Health, ki aha mo ngai whehui, tāla aha mo loto, pea mo I kai ke whia maari, ke anga ngai tutu ni ko ni ngai huhu, hange ko te takai whakaosko ne huhu hono wha, o mai ho o ngai whehui, e ahua no, ke tau pōta tala ki ai, pea mo I kau taki ko ia o e Pasifiki. We have our community leaders from our Pacific Islanders communities to participate and also help out with our virtual program on Thursday, May 26th. Ahua no ko ia me. Malo opito. Thank you, Silly.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's my updates for this Thursday. I again will post those links in the chat, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Whamalo lahi e ne o mo mea mai. Tawa me ke whakasinga tau polokalama, pangkolea tai pēni ke tae mai tau ki fwoi fast whaosi. That's our last melodious song, ending our program for the day. But before we finish ending our program, we'd like to announce to everybody, if you need any plot, to help your family during this difficult time, or anything happen and you're not prepared, we are able to help out. You can always reach out and call me 206-305-8222 at Bonnie Wedson, which is the funeral home at Washington Cemetery. Call us now. We have the discount to help you out and also to eliminate the hardship, when you lost a loved one. It applies to all the Pacific Islanders, Samoan, Tongan, Fijian, Marshallese, Melanesian, Micronesian, and Polynesian. Give us a call, 206-305-8222, to ease the burden when something happened to you or you lost a loved ones and you're not prepared, now is the time. The phone number again, somebody is asking. The phone number again is 206-305-8222. 206-305-8222. This is the most centralized cemetery for all the Pacific Islanders, right by the SeaTac Airport. Bonnie Wetzel.